So here we have a home page. This is Barbara's home page. Instructional design plan. You know that from now on you're not going to use the underline unless it's a hyperlink, right?
Yes.
Unless it's a hyperlink. Okay, so here I'd like you to put maybe a paragraph about what this whole ID plan is all about. You know, you're solving this problem, you gotta do this, do that. You can change this. You can change anything on here up until the due date, which is the day before Thanksgiving, I think is when it's due. So we're going to be working on this as kind of a side project the rest of the, you know, at least this first part of the semester, 2/3 of the semester. Make lots of changes. We're not going to make the materials unless you really want to. I mean, you can do it, but you don't have to. We're really looking at the process as you do other things as well. Did you sign in? I'm sorry, did you say yes?
I can't, it's not letting me.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, well, I'll use somebody else's then as an example. So we have this, then looking at the problem. So I'm gonna, once you have this up here, it'll give me and give everybody else an idea of what this is about. The reason why you make an ID plan is so you'll follow it, hopefully. If you make mistakes, you can go back and change it. But if you want to do it again, or do something like this again, you have the plan already made, so you don't have to make a whole new plan. And say I come in and replace Sean, I get hired. You like on sabbatical so much you quit. And then they hire me instead to take over, and then you have projects. Well, I can use your ID plan to actually continue that project without having to reinvent it. So it's good to have the ID plans, especially if you're a designer like us. So I'm looking at the home page, we got that. Look at the problem, and okay. I have freshmen, my math class. And they struggle with word problems. Okay. When so that's like a problem statement. Then when a word problem is assigned, you shouldn't say about. Say 60% or more. That's about of the students will skip right over the problem because they do not read it. You don't know if they want to or not. Don't use the word want. That kind of assumes that. But 40% of the students will try and find two numbers in the problem and do 1 to 4 operations with it to show they try the problem. However, they do not complete the problem. Do not complete the. You don't want to make sure that we know it's a problem, so they don't complete it. So you have to have in there something that shows that even though they tried, they're not completing. So actually, that would be a good first problem statement. The problem, or you don't even need the word problem. You say, in my freshman math class, students are unable to complete word problems or finish word problems at all of them. It looks like all of them, 60 and 40 is all, right? And then you put this description in here. So that's good. That's good.
And do you want me to make you
Yeah, go to members, and you'll see my name there, and I'll show people this when I get on there. So click and make me organizer. See where it says that, promote to organizer? Okay, so then so now I see members and settings because I'm an organizer. And if I click on this, there's me and Barbara. We're both organizers. And I want you all, when you do this, you'll be the organizer of your own. Just invite me. So you'll invite people, so you send me an email. And I will get this email. I've gotten many from folks already. You send this, and then it gives me a link. I know. Because of this, if you want to join Barbara's Wiki, both she and I will get the email saying somebody wants to join the Wiki, so I can approve people joining it as well. And I can change the settings if I want to. So if I go to her general settings, classic Wiki, good. So I didn't change anything there. Permissions, custom. You really want to get this public, where is it we make it public?
This is where you were emailing me back and forth.
Sorry?
You were making me send screenshots of this.
Say that again?
I was have, you told me to send you screenshots of this page too.
Right. Okay. So where was it? The people who became public, where did you get the public thing?
For me, it's on that page, it's on permissions, but yours
Oh,
looks
it's on
different
permissions?
than mine. Like above private for me is protected and public.
Yeah, it
same
should
for
be.
me.
The wiki creator must.
Oh, you know why? Because I didn't create this. So I'm not gonna have that choice. You know,
And it
that's,
says she needs to verify her account.
yeah, so you need to verify your account. And they call you, right, on the phone?
Yeah, that's what I just
Do
did.
they talk a lot or what do they do?
No, it's real quick.
Okay, so they'll call you on the phone and
So we want custom, or do we want public?
make it public.
I don't have to do it like on there.
Or,
No,
I have to
you
like
said-
go in and do it, and then I just put my number in, and then they call me.
So you want it to be either protected, right? Because you told me to change
But you
it.
can like.
But I
yeah,
think
make it
that's
protected.
Because on the video you did custom. But you want
Because,
You go to permissions.
yeah, because I was using someone else's that didn't have this.
Okay.
Yeah, permissions, I only have private and custom.
Yeah, so for this, use your, let's see, where did you call in from?
I think when I was on that permissions page, like, it was blue that said verify your account.
Yeah,
But
click on,
it.
I don't have it on here because I'm not the creator of this, Sean, but if you look at your permissions, there should be something that says verify your account.
Did they call you a text you?
In permissions?
Yeah, she'll show you.
Did they call you? Yeah. Yep, and they call you, right?
Yeah, they'll call you.
It's automated.
Yeah, it's really quick.
Should I do it now or no?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't still talk for a long time.
No, they did. They gave me like a
Or
4-digit
I'll just
number.
verify like through your
I must.
Yeah, or you, yeah.
Now, do you know if you're gonna finally get into mine? I never heard back from you after.
I don't remember, but I'll check now.
Okay.
I just don't remember.
No, that's okay, I understand.
Okay, so basically, you have this and then you have the audience. Okay, the audience, students. What is she missing here? About students, what is she missing? Now, when
Boys,
you-
girls?
when you have the gender, when you have the audience, all you need is the characteristics of the audience that are affected by the problem. So, for example, students between age 14, you do need gender. 90 students, don't use about. You use, I have 90 students. You don't need this year because we assume it's this year who are struggling with this problem. You don't need that. You just put 90 students. We don't care that they're studying with the problem. That's not part of who they are as an audience. So all we want to know is, now, if you're in a classroom and you have a lot of left-handed students, would you want to know how many are left-handed and right-handed? Those of you that teach math? Anybody left-handed here? Has your life been miserable?
No.
But you've had special accommodations, right? Because you're right-lefty? You don't? Oh, you're one of the few. When I was in school, they actually changed me from lefty to righty. They used to do that. They made you right
They
with
did
your right
that to
hand.
my dad too.
They changed that.
Accommodations in art, though,
Sorry?
in art.
So basically, if you have a lot of left-handed students, you may need left-handed scissors or left-handed desks. So whatever it is, language, they all speak English or they LEP or whatever it is. You only want to know about the audience. You don't care about, the problem doesn't belong in here, just the audience characteristics. So if I was doing an audience analysis of this class, I'd put number one, I put gender, I put how many people are in the ed tech program and not, how many courses people have had. I might have a list, half the class has taken 6 or more courses or less, whatever. Teachers and business, if they're working as a teacher, because we have a lot of people from business here also. In the olden days, people wouldn't have computers at home. So I might put if they had a computer at home. Whatever would influence whatever we do in the class is something I want to know. So that's good. I mean, you have a chance to rewrite and work it. So it's not a problem at all. And then needs, you ask people what's needed. Okay, so we're looking, when we do the needs, we're looking to create some kind of instruction to solve this problem. So sometimes you're not going to do that. You'll find that there's a program you can buy or something. But just for the sake of going through the whole process, we're going to pick something in here that you'd have to go through the process to create some kind of instruction for them. So is there anything in here that would, if you would prioritize, which would be the first?
Make the word problem real life situation.
Okay, and how would you do that?
I asked them at the beginning of the year, like, what interests them. So, like, today I made one of the word problems be about football, because I love football players. So, something that would interest them.
Okay, so in this case, if this is make the word problems more real life, so you'd actually design a set of materials that would reflect real life situations, not just one. So that would be your project, is to make an instructional design plan for making these word problems, so you can do it again next year the same way, and so on and so forth. So your homepage would actually talk about that word problems, and everybody knows they're the hardest for kids. Everybody knows that. And then the problem here is you just restate that the problem, they just don't do them, they can't do them. Who your audience is, because your audience is going to be different than Joey's. So Joey may have different solutions, different problems, so on and so forth. And then what's needed, you just ask people and you prioritize. For this activity, we're going to make instruction. We're going to design it for making materials. But sometimes you'll do it and the end of the instructional design process is buy a new system or something like that, or hire a tutor. So, but here, once you go through the process, you'll see. Question? I have one question about this.
So what we gonna be just keep adding details in the needs section and all the various sections?
Yep. Rewrite.
We're not actually making a lesson plan or attempting to solve these problems?
You're going to solve them, but on paper. So you're going to design everything except there may be some, you may make some kind of material. We have making materials as part of the process. You might make something that's small, or you might write one story as a sample or something like that. But the reason why I'm doing it this way is because this is shaping your skills. That means that we try and give you a wide latitude to kind of work in it and rewrite over again. Because writing, you don't think about what you write as much as write and find out what you think. Anybody disagree with that or agree with that? You do. I know you agree with that, right? Why do I say you write to find out what you think?
Clears your head, clears your thoughts.
Okay, any other reason?
That helps you process and organize your thoughts?
That's,
Okay, so you write something down and say, I need a better word for that. You put it in, you revise over and over again, and finally you get it. This says what I want it to say. Sometimes we're not good at just writing something and have it perfect for our voice. We can't get it right. We have to spend some time, as you said, thinking about it, getting clear. And so the whole semester you'll be able to work on all these, each one of the steps over and over. You can add them to it. So for example, for the needs, or for the needs especially, you can make a survey. We'll actually do that later. You can go back in here and put a survey to find out what's needed. So you would ask, You make questions and then give it to people who are in the school or involved with what you're doing. They take the survey, and you'd have that as part of your instructional design plan. So if you did this again, you'd have the survey there, you'd have all this stuff that's all together. Does that make sense? It's the logic of it. So there's no wrong. It's just trying to get it as much as possible so that you understand the process. Okay. Then let's look at everybody's. I want to look at every single person and their brother in the class. So, but you can pass if you want to. So I'll just take volunteers. How's that? So if you don't want to show, I'm sorry, I put you first. We can still be friends, right?
Yeah.
Joey, okay. Joey puts himself out. Where are you, Joey? Did you join the class? I don't see you. I saw you before.
You accepted.
Where is it? Starts with a J.
You're a collaborator. You're a organizer.
Yeah, but so what? There we go. Okay. And I'm not sure why I don't see the picture.
It was working this weekend. I'll go and fix that.
Well, it could be because of JavaScript or something. I'm not sure. What was it? Was it JPEG or what?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see what it says here.
So I stuck with the bus dismissal only because it's such a,
Okay.
it's a really timely, hot button issue in my school right now. More than
Every school.
Okay.
Ours just started.
Yeah.
It restarted. We got a new principal and it's all.
So add a summary, or just a preview of what this is going to be, the plan. So this is good. You have the stuff about yourself, which is good. Now, when you do these things, at this point, if you write about yourself, consider this something that you can use a lot. So I recommend that people get yourself one paragraph, two paragraph thing about yourself, your experience, what you've done, so on and so forth. Because as you do more things, let's say you give professional development and you have brochures and stuff, you want to have a little spot about yourself. You don't want to keep writing that over and over again. But if you have something, and you can always change it, but you might want to put the key things, your experience, your expertise, maybe something in your background that would, the awards you won or something, so that the next time you have to do something for any particular purpose, like if you write a grant, perhaps you need to put a little bio in there. Just keep using the same thing, adjust it to whoever the audience is, but this will save you a lot of time in the future, I'm telling you. If you're applying for a job, this is important. Well, you guys have all applied and gotten jobs, but in general, when people ask you about yourself, why do you want the job, you should be able to articulate why you want the job and about yourself in about 30 words. Not go on and on and on, bless. Not go on and on, but basically you should just have a few sentences that have the gist of who you are and what you're doing. And something like this helps you develop that. So that's just my suggestion. I'm not forcing you to do that, but from my experience, which is all I can give you, that works. Okay, then let's see, Joey's problem. Okay, I want more. More the
Know
problem.
more specifically about each.
Okay, bus dismissal will become less organized. Okay, arrive late. Okay, that's a good problem statement. Okay, number one, teachers are unable to locate kids. Parents
So
are unable.
elaborate on each.
Yeah, so what you want to do is elaborate with just the problems. You don't want to put anything else in here except what you see is a problem, and there are lots of problems with this. Could be buses miss their mark. Buses are routinely late. Don't say why. Just say it's been. I would just say bus dismissal. It's less organized than why. I mean, it doesn't say what than years past. So I would just say bus dismissal at school is disorganized and chaotic, causing students to arrive. Because that's the problem. You don't care what happened in the past. So, and then just put the details. this is one of the hardest things to do because people will start giving you what they want to do to solve the problem. And that's, as an instructional designer, what you're going to do is when you work with people, you're going to ask them what's the problem, and they're going to just tell you a whole bunch of stuff, and you have to keep bringing them back to, okay, tell me what the problem is. This a problem, or is this what you think should be done? Let's just find the problem, because when you know the problem, then you can address it. So then the audience. Okay, students, teachers, and administrators. What you want? You need ages. You need how many teachers? 27 teachers, 36 teachers, all administrators. So as much as possible, you want, I would break them down into students. So 3rd through 6th grade, 38 students, 6 boys, 12 girls, fill in the rest. You don't know they have different perspectives and investment in the issue. You don't know that.
Even though I do I pretend that I don't, or?
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. You just want to know about the audience itself. You know, the characteristics that are, you might put that several students are routinely in detention and miss the bus, which I'm sure happens a lot. After-school activities are not accounted for in the bus schedule, so on and so forth. Well, for here you would put many students are in, 14 students are in after-school programs which get out late. Well, actually, no, that's part of the problem. 15 students are in after-school programs, and whatever else in here, just describe them.
That was just a note to myself.
Gender is really important in this, because sometimes, or it could be also, how many new students are there? How many people are in a school where the student body changes more than 25% every year? Okay, just Kim. I know I used to work in East Hartford with a school, Silver Lane, and they had a turnout every year, they had a turnover of 40%. So every year the school had 40% new students that had never been there before, because they had a lot of transients, you know, migrants and stuff. So every year you had people that were new to Connecticut, you know, new to the rules of how schools operate here and so on. That makes a difference. So if that's not the case, but anything that would make a difference, go in and look for things maybe that people aren't noticing, things like that. And then the needs, basically asking people, okay, let's look at some of the suggestions. Which of those would you prioritize as first, as you'd like to make?
Personally?
Yeah. Now we're looking for instructions, so which of those that uses instructions would you go through?
I'm kind of torn between two. The first one, explicitly reteach the expectations.
Okay,
And then supplying specific roles to the teachers on duty. Because I think,
okay, so if you require the roles, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make training materials for them. So it's not, once you say what you have here, you have to figure out what's the instructional thing you need to do to solve it. So what's the instructional thing you need to do to create videos for students?
so am I making that material that I choose, or we're just talking about what we would do?
Theoretically, you'd make it. In this class, you're not going to make, you might have the opportunity to do a little quickie screencast or something like that, but you're not going to make the solution. You're not solving, you're just making the plan. When you take Dr. Abed's class, the 521, you get together with a group, there are 3 of you or 2 of you, however it is now, and you spend time, 3 months, developing a plan like this, but much more in depth. At this point, we're not going to go in depth, and we're not going to have you design something that you're going to make later. They're going to make, when you're in that 521 class, in the summertime, you actually make the project. So it's a huge undertaking. This part just will get you ready for that first part. You don't have to worry about making the things, because usually when you make them, you're using other programs you've learned in our courses. So for each one of these, like provide leadership opportunities to older students. Again, training materials to train them to do that kind of thing. So you prioritize 1 and 2, and you can figure out, you can actually design the first 2 if you want to do that. Design a program to teach leadership to older students and supply specific roles to teacher, maybe training on where to stand, how to do this, some suggestions on dealing with problems before they start, floor plans, those kinds of things. Now notice, this is something, if I go here to the revisions, I see Joey's worked on this twice, September 11th to September 12th, and I can compare September 11th by clicking on this, and I can compare with the 12th. And now, the everything that's green is the first, and any changes he made are in red. And then if he did it again, you'd have different colors. So what happens is you can actually go back to September 11th and get rid of the changes if you screwed up, or say you erased everything by mistake. I would do it, not you. Then you can make your changes. You can review them. These are the 14 things that he's done, and so on. So that's why wikis are so useful, because they help in writing and they help in collaborative work. And you know how much each student has done. So if I was working on this, it would have my name there and what I've done. It would show what I've done. So that's a nice feature of wikis. Good. Question or comment, feedback? What do you think?
I think that's a good problem to select because I think it's difficult in a lot of districts, so it's a great one to choose.
And the focus again is on developing instruction to solve the problem.
Right.
So you all will be doing that. Let's see. Okay, good. Any other volunteers? What's your name again?
Alexandra Gregorick?
Allie.
Yep,
Ollie or Allie?
Allie.
Starts with an A, right? And G, Allie. I saw it here sometime.
Yeah,
There's Jamie always popping up there.
there I am.
Oh. Okay. Okay, so you want to put something about yourself, you know. Think about what do you want to do in your life? You want to be a mathematician, a math teacher?
Potentially, be a math coordinator.
Okay, so put down your math teacher, you coordinate this, and, you know, just things that you're going to use later on, and think about the kinds of things. You build up a kind of a narrative of yourself. That's what you're doing in these things. You're building a narrative, and as you write, you're going to incorporate that narrative into your life, you know, how you think about yourself. And sometimes if you're asked off the cuff about yourself, you have this in your background, you can always do it. Okay, so then, and something about the instructional design plan, you know, what's going on, what you're going to be doing. Then looking at the problem. So, okay, good. And what is this?
It's a video regarding the problem that I chose about math fact fluency in schools.
So, no plans for math fluency in the schools, how many schools? 3 schools, 5 schools, 10 schools?
2.
Two schools.
I put that in the audience.
Okay, well, you want to, it'd be good here because I can assume this is like 100 schools
Okay.
because you're such a good teacher.
Um,
Then you really don't want to put yourself in here.
okay.
As much as possible, there's no plans for math fluency in the 2 schools, name the schools. You know, no one cares. I mean, we care, but no one cares in the problem. It doesn't work in the problem. Instead, the lessons I observed, work with students.
Everything has to be observation.
Students, sorry.
The observation of it, the problem, right?
Yeah, you would say it is evident through observation students need additional help out. You don't want what's needed. You just want to make the problem. You don't need to know that they need additional help. Students are unable to have long-term retention of their facts. Additional help is one of the solutions. Okay? So just what's wrong? You know, like your mother would tell you if you did something really bad. My mother would. Not your, you had good mothers. Mine was okay. Yeah, she was good. She was good. So although, no, you don't need this, although knowing the facts is never enough. Again, you don't need this. This is good stuff, but it's not needed in here.
Okay.
Later on, you'll put this in other sections. Fluency is required by Common Core standards, and you might list the standards. In addition, teachers, 7 teachers and 14 administrators routinely ask for help for working with students in their math fluency. So there it's totally objective. Like you're not there. Think about writing a newspaper article or something where you're just describing the facts. Don't put yourself in there, but you want to know what happens. It's like if you're at a car accident, you know, basically what they want to know is like who was there, what happened, and so on. You don't want to say like the driver was scared or this and that, because it really doesn't fit in. You don't know that. So you don't belong in the problem at all, which is just the way of keeping yourself out and also assuming. You don't want to assume that people feel this way, or although knowing the facts is never enough, I mean, that really is not a problem. But I mean, it's not bad information, but it really doesn't belong here. And then the audience, okay. 3 to 5 students. Grades,
Grade 3 to
okay.
5.
Grades 3 to 5 students, 22 classroom teachers, 3 administrators, 2 math tutors, 1 janitor, 3 math specialists, 25 paraprofessional, and parents at 2 elementary schools.
Do you want gender there?
Yeah,
Or-
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because of that.
Should
Well,
it be more in a bullet form? Because I feel like it'd be very busy.
yeah, put the bullet form. And really, the thing you want for the gender is for the students. I mean, the classroom teachers, that's up to you, administrators, math tutors. The gender may be important there. You think about it. Where would gender be important? If it's not, then you make that decision.
Okay, probably the students.
Because as you develop your materials, you have to take the students in mind. So if I was doing something like this, if I was in Alaska, I'd give everybody a hearing test, because people in Alaska, especially in Western Alaska, have very poor hearing because of like motorboats and engines. So it's really loud in the village, really loud. I used to teach online using the phone, and they never gave people hearing tests. So I don't know if people are hearing me or not, but I spoke loudly. Okay, you don't need this part. So as much as you can about the students, are students all at level, grade level, or 90% of students are at correct grade level, 15% aren't. How about the reading levels? You know, if you're going to do word problem, fluency.
It's more
Okay,
facts, yes.
Okay, we're just talking about like memorization of facts and formulas and things like that. So whatever is necessary. Do you have any students that are disabled? Any students in wheelchairs? You know, look for that. If there are none, then you don't need it. But if you have a student in a wheelchair, put it down. If you have something, does that make sense why you would do that? Because as you make your materials, as you design your instruction, you have to take into account the learners. It's always the learners, always the audience. So, do you have any children that are in special ed or anything like that?
I think that might be beneficial for theirs, and then who are in intervention.
Good, yeah. And the reason is because you may have to make, as you're developing materials, you might have to make special materials for them. The differentiated, differentiated. Everybody knows that, right? You've heard that, Kim? Differentiated instruction. How is it used in your context, Maureen? What would differentiated instruction be?
The thing that comes to mind first would be different reading levels of like an assigned reading or a different text level for kids.
Okay. Anybody else? with how differentiated instruction takes place in your context?
So, some of my special ed kids, I'll give them less math problems to do, because then when it keeps repeating, they get frustrated, and so the ones that find it easy, they'll get the harder problems and
Mhm.
more of them.
Okay, so you have different types of problems
Yes.
depending on ability level or achievement level, achievements really. And how about people who learn a lot from videos but they can't read well? So you make video instruction. How about the kids who learn from videos and get distracted watching, or learn from paper and pencil and don't really learn a lot from the video because they get lost in the sound and stuff like that. So that you differentiate that way. You make materials, and you'd observe that like there's some students who can't watch a video. You know, they have no attention span, and they always get distracted. If there's a butterfly, they look at the butterfly, not like the whole scene. So that would be a way of differentiating instruction. And then for the needs, okay, so you've asked people, and which of these would you prioritize that you would make materials for? Pick two.
I think the one you highlighted right there,
Okay,
develop math station
So this would be
activities.
one, you put a one here. And what you do is you actually rearrange these. So the top two would be something that you can work on. Usually, you want to find the stuff that is the low-hanging fruit as one of the two. And one that absolutely has got to be solved to solve the problem. So if you have a low-hanging fruit and something that's has to be solved, you got two things right there. Sometimes three things, depends. And what would the second be?
Maybe the PD, because I can incorporate a lot there with all teachers rather than just the grade level, that would be the whole group of teachers.
Okay, so designing the PD and actually how you would do that and put it together, you go through that process. Now you do it probably intuitively, you know, from habit and from instinct and from talent. But here we're gonna ask you to kind of go through a process to put it together. So that's good.
I have a question.
Sure.
I understand the importance of being specific, especially with the audience, but I'm wondering about like including things like special ed identification if this is public.
It's not. It's not public.
I thought you wanted us to make it public.
Well, yeah, but it will be, you're not gonna name who they are or anything like that.
Right.
So that isn't a problem, as long as you don't have names and pictures. Please don't put kids' pictures.
Right now, but like our name's there, so like it's like they're kind of linked to us.
I mean, it's pejorative to say that you have 14 students who are special ed or something. That's not, you wouldn't want that. That you consider that detrimental? I'm just asking, I don't know.
I feel
Like just
kinda
in
feel the
case
same
like
way.
somebody like came across it. I
Okay,
don't know.
so what we'll do is this. What you can do is, if you make it restricted, only people that you allow, to, you know, once we do it here, only people you allow can see it, or you can take it down or something like that. So, good. Thank you. Thank you. Usually, well, I've got 800 or something wikis, and I guess some people would rather they get taken down depending on what they are. So the needs survey, you've got those two. Good. So that's how you would approach it. Questions on this process? Anybody else? One more person that I should look at? Sure.
Jen, later.
Jen, okay.
So you're gonna tell us what to add to it all the time, like the survey, and you'll show us how to do that?
Absolutely. That's why we're doing this.
Okay.
That's every step of the way. As I want to make it as supportive as possible, because all we care about is you learning the things. You know, it's not. There are a whole bunch of things that go into this, and we'll take our time. Just by looking at the article, taking learning seriously, that should affect some of the materials that you make. Because I can look at it and say, well, is that going to cause Fantasia? And so everything plays into it. So, Jen, okay. So I highlight this, and I right click, and I will go to the address in a new tab. Okay. Good, Jen. Now, a couple of things. We can still be friends after this one. Okay. You only use bold to make something stand out. It's not going to stand out. It's like if everybody in this class had red spiked hair, no one would stand out. Sean would stand out. Maybe. Well, I said if everybody came in and everybody's hair was spiked and red, you got a nice beard and stuff, so you'd probably stand out. Not really, but everybody, nothing would stand out if everything is bold. And second, what am I going to say about this? Don't center.
Okay.
Always left align. Easier to read, standard.
The headings too, or just what's under it?
Well, this one here, my name, stuff like this. The heading's okay. Not a problem with that. And down here, you certainly want to get rid of the bold. Except if your name is in here, you put that in. Okay, good. Just having regarding Wi-Fi in the class. So you're going to have to make some kind of instruction or materials that would discourage them or teach them how to use it. So that's good. I'm sure a lot of people have that problem. And I know schools are letting students bring phones in now and iPads and stuff. Okay.
So that was part of my, what I think I wrote that in the problem, but my district has provided the devices to every student.
Mhm.
So they definitely all have something, and it's kind of frustrating for me and them when they can't use it.
Okay. Access to Wi-Fi in the classroom, in the classroom is intermittent. Not at best, I mean just intermittent or something. And you don't want this major investments and stuff like that. That's not really, that wouldn't apply. Unless you would say that despite major investments in technology and training, teachers are not using the materials as evidenced by smart boards that are covered up, computers that are dusty, that aren't used, that kind of stuff. So you need to have proof. So instead of this whole thing here, school issued tablets are not able to access Wi-Fi in the class 80% of the time. Does that make sense?
So combine those three.
Yeah, just make it so that, always make it as objective as possible. When I say objective, it's as you would read in a newspaper or as you would try and describe to a parent. So if you were describing this to a parent, if you say school issued tablets, that's fine. You don't have to say every student. They don't care about every student, they just care about their own kid, actually. In addition, those that can, the 20% that can connect, are frequently disconnected. That's it. Any other kind of, okay, so what else would be indicative of that problem? What else would be a problem? What do kids do when they can't connect?
Classroom management becomes an issue.
Okay. Screaming, throwing iPads or whatever it is. Hitting each other, I don't know, whatever dissatisfaction results, whatever a lack of work results, that's what it is. So, we'll look at these again. So let's see. And then the needs, what's needed for this? Help desk. Okay, which of these would require instruction?
The last one, I think, do more flipped lessons.
then that would be the first one. And so to do more flip lessons, you have to design materials for that. So you go through the ID process of doing that.
Should I move that to the first one?
Yeah, prioritize this week. Prioritize them as to the ones you can do. Okay, we'll look at some more next week. Well, we'll see. In a few minutes, we'll see what people want to do with the classes. And then, Jamie, you can tell Dr. Bibb. Okay, the only other thing that I want you to look at this week is Screencast-O-Matic. Who hasn't done that here? Maureen? Anybody else? Okay, those people in the back, you've all done it? You've all done it? Ollie, you've done it? Okay, could you show Ollie how to use it? And could you show Maureen how to use it? What I want you to do this week is just make sure you have it on your computer. So we're going to do some in class or online next week, whatever. And you're going to use Screencast to make some materials and so on. There's some other things in the class. And I want you to get a good command of that. You can also use it to make differentiated instruction, put things online. It's a terrific tool. I mean, you all know that now. Okay. So let me show you the homework. I can find it. Good. Hey, yeah. So. Okay. You're going to finish working on your wikis. Just get those rewritten. You know, I figured that'll take you maybe half an hour, maybe an hour at the most. I want you to finish reading Making It Happen. Now, you all should have the book, Making It Happen. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we're going to read it this week. So it's not arduous. I mean, I did an online check with how slow I read, and I read it in 3.5 hours. I would space it out. Who's read this before? Easy reading. Easy reading. It's the only text that reads like a novel. There's a mystery in here. There's all sorts of stuff that happens, and I think you'll learn from this because it's not a technical, somebody using jargon and stuff. It's the simplest way possible to learn project management. And any idea why I want you to learn project management? What would I,
Just kind of give us a better handle on managing our own projects individually. Because I started reading and I'm like, this doesn't relate to education, but I started thinking that, he's going into managing his own world, business world, I guess. That's what I took.
yeah, and he doesn't know anything about the process. He's in trouble. It's like you ever get a point to do something you don't know much about? That happens. So read this. This is the major thing you'll be doing this week, guys, just reading this. And then I've got a form for just some things for you to respond to. So I'll make this available for you. So for the homework, read Making It Happen. And in the form, I got a couple of questions. What was surprising and so on. Bring it to class next week, whether it's online or here. Continue working on your PLN, doing that. And just put Screencast-O-Matic on your home computer. Yeah.
Do we have to use the edweb.com?
I'd like you to, each week. Have you done it?
Yes, I did.
Did you find anything good?
Yes, but are we allowed to use like Google as well? Or
I'm sorry?
I use Google to search too? Because it was just like a search engine, right?
EdWeb? No, EdWeb they archived the ones they had. But if you want to find something else, you could do that as well. Another web.
No, I found good things. I was just curious if it was okay if we did both. And do they have to relate to our problem? It can be anything.
Anything.
Okay.
Because anything that would help you professionally.
Okay.
Or, say you have a hobby, beekeepers. I know that Richard's a beekeeper. So. I just happen to know that. You get that for the tax thing, right?
It ain't easy.
Yeah.
Do you want us for the PLN each week to use those same, like, I
No,
know
just
we did
put it on-
Pinterest and.
Put it on there. We'll have them so that we'll look at them too. In a couple of weeks.
Do you
We'll
want
look
us to use the same, like if we get one from Pinterest one week, do you want us to stick with Pinterest each week?
No.
Or not? You
No.
can do.
If you want to, you can.
Okay.
Because some people are Pinterest people.
Yeah.
And if you are, just stick there and get the resources and the information there. There are some great places. Let me see. Why don't you, if you have a special spot that you go to get stuff, why don't you just share that now? Anybody have a special spot that they go to?
Teachers pay teachers.
Teachers pay teachers. We actually had someone sell something. She sold a lesson plan for $2, and she was disappointed because teachers pay teachers took $1. But that's good. And do you buy stuff there? Good for you.
Sometimes I buy, sometimes things are free.
Free,
Yeah,
sure.
a lot of
So
great
teachers pay
stuff.
teachers. And that's worthwhile. I'd like you guys to put stuff up there. Any others that people go to that, you know, your education mind shift? What is that?
It's just kind of a forum, but I found something kind of cool this week. These stools called hockey stools, HKI. I don't know if anybody has those in their classroom, but it allows kids to kind of like turn and twist and rock while remaining stationary. So I have kids who they have like written into their 504 that they have sensory breaks. So I think if I, purchase some of these stools, I might be able to eliminate the idea that they're leaving the classroom. So I started a GoFundMe on Thursday night, I think, and I was asking for $250 for 2 stools, and it's up to $650. So, yeah, I already bought 2 stools, and I'm able to buy 3 more.
Good.
Yeah, it was very quick, and
So
I was just
Where
really
did you
begging.
post the GoFundMe?
Facebook is probably, like, if you're on social media, whatever social media you're on is the most effective.
Okay. So let me ask you now. We're going to stop. So let me ask.